Hey, what is up everyone? I'm Axel and I'm here to talk about World War Ragnarok. But let's get on with it. First off, I'd really like to talk about the gameplay first. That's the thing that I focus the most on. By gameplay, I mean specifically combat. I think the combat is as good as it could be, as the way it is thought, the way it is thought about is as good as it could be. I'll explain what I mean by that. It is definitely an improvement towards the, compared to the previous one. Obviously, it's the same kind of system. Everything is very, very similar, but it's also very improved. It has more, few more mechanics, extra weapon, okay? And yeah, overall, it's just more complete. But in my honest opinion, it does have one glaring issue, which could be two, but it's kind of like they are related. So the issue with the game, in terms of the combat, from my point of view, is the camera. The camera is always behind Kratos, okay, or Kratos. I like to call him Kratos instead. So he's the camera is always behind Kratos, okay? So what happens there is if you try to, for example, move around and you want to sprint while looking in front, but you want to sprint sideways, you cannot do it really well there. And if you want to go backwards, that's even worse. So it's very limiting in that sense. I know why they did it, but it is very limiting. And that is not the only issue with the camera. The other issue is that it is very, very close to the character. So many things are covered when they go to the left side of the screen. They are covered by Kratos, or the boy Atreus in some points, but less so. So yeah, that's a bit of an issue. I think the biggest hurdle with this kind of camera is the multiple enemy encounters, which are very common, especially if there are like multiple bosses or bosses with ads. It just feels like it's not really made to do that. It doesn't really allow you to gain really good control. You feel like you have to really put all your enemies in front of you, and instead of kind of like control them with the camera by moving it around instead, which gives you more freedom. So it's very limiting in that sense. But the good thing is that with those limitations, the combat is as good as it could be from my point of view, the way it's designed. So props to them. Give the combat a 9 out of 10 because that camera issue is a big issue. Now let's talk about the progress. Okay, in the still gameplay, but more about progress. I also have some issues here. Overall, the exploration is cool. It feels rewarding. Not always. Sometimes it feels like you're just maybe unlocking like a new room or something, and it's just some hack silver, some really small reward that is like really, I don't know, kind of weird. But yeah, besides those, like overall, like it lets you, look around, explore a lot. Very interesting. There's one realm, which is Vanaheim, I think it's called. That it's, in my opinion, the worst world. It's just so much like it's like a maze. It's a jungle that you. Oh, it's a jungle and other things as well, like a crater. I don't know, some different aspects. Well, it's basically like tropical stuff, but there's a lot of like weird pathing on that world or that realm. Um, when you do the side quest there, or all the side stuff, you try to go for the 100%. You're gonna spend the most time on Vanaheim, just being lost. At least that was my experience. So what I don't mind, like a more maze-like worlds, that you dump more time into exploring. It felt like that was a lot. Like there's one side area you need to like access through a side quest, and that is like super long. I spent like, I don't know, 10 hours on that place. It was insane. Like it really was. But yeah, besides that, I think the biggest issue that I found with all this kind of stuff, exploration, puzzle solving, it's the NPCs kind of backseating you a ton. This is nothing new. Like you've probably seen people talk about it on Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Like it's everywhere. It's very annoying how you're trying to play a game and there's no option to like turn off the hints that the NPCs give you all the time. Like sometimes you don't even have time to do the puzzle normally. They just look at you and say, "Yeah, this is what you have to do." It is very annoying and insulting to intelligence that there's no option to turn them off, or that they are a thing to begin with. But I understand that some players might need more, help. Maybe they don't want to think much. They just want to like just have fun, not figure out things. But I have fun by figuring out things personally. Not only challenges, but also like everything, figuring out everything. Um, so yeah, it can be frustrating, I know, but for me that's part of gaming. Without frustration, there's no real reward for me. And I don't know, it's like for them to remove that option for you without giving you any kind of exit, uh, any kind of solution for not having that. It's very annoying, and it's probably the thing that punishes the game the most when I score it. So I'm gonna start. I'm still scoring it high, but yeah. I feel like there should be like either an option to turn them off or an option to make them wait way more for giving you tips. I don't know. It just feels quite a bit insulting, honestly, to the intelligence of the player. I know that they just want to like not have players like give up or whatnot, but I don't know if players really need some help, then they can always just look up things. But the best case scenario is just basically letting the players have the option to turn them off or on if they need to. Because plenty of players just don't want to get backseated at all. I hate getting backseated as much as I hate getting spoiled and everything. It's just something that I find a bit, yeah, for me that's a big issue. It's probably the biggest issue in the entire game, even more so than the camera. Besides that, when we're talking about exploration, moving around the world, there's a lot of long animations. Like climbing is still pretty slow. Some parts of the game where like you're in a kind of hub area, they don't let you run. It's just a lot of things that kind of slow down everything. And speaking of us slowing down, there's no option to skip cutscenes. Not even if you have already played the game and 100%ed it, it's still no option. They're probably gonna add it on a patch later. I don't know. I wish that in a later patch they add that. Removing the option to remove all the backseating from the NPCs, and then also NG Plus. Right now the game doesn't have NG Plus. It's the same thing as what happened with 2018. you know, God of War on 2018 didn't have NG Plus, didn't have cutscene skipping. But it also didn't backseat you immediately. Like this one is like they just don't wait at all. Like just straight up tell you all the time. It is very fucking annoying. Okay, so moving on. I never really. I just go around along with the ride. I only notice the music from now and then. I didn't feel anything wrong. I think it was like very immersive. The sound design and the music felt good. Obviously, they did reuse some music from the previous game. Um, but yeah, overall, I have zero complaints with the music. I think for me, maybe it's not like a 10, maybe it's like 9.5, but there's probably no big highlight in terms of music that really kind of like comes to my mind right now. Yeah, the world design, I would give it a like probably an 8.5. And you know, like just all the things to combine, you know, the backseating, the slow pace on certain places, um yeah, all that stuff, it kind of like drags it down quite a bit. Still really good, but you know, it's not perfect. Then the story, for me, it's also a 9, and here's why. Mild spoilers, okay, mild spoilers. The end I thought was quite lackluster. If you look at God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, God of War 2018, you know, the one it's for, all of those final sections, those endings are way more epic, more like they are way more impactful in terms of like how excited you get for doing it and everything. I didn't feel this in God of War Ragnarok. Maybe it just caters to some other people, but for me, it was lacking. It wasn't a bad ending at all, but for me, it was lacking a lot. I didn't feel like the impactfulness of the ending. There's some neat stuff at the end, and on the post game as well. I'm not gonna get into details, that's why it's mild spoilers. I'm not gonna say anything in concrete, but yeah, like I like it, but I don't love it. So again, for me, that's another 9. Um, there's a lot of options. I really like some things that they did in terms of options, like configurations. I spent quite a lot of time configuring stuff. Subtitles, giving you control with the lock on, with the how you roll, you know, how you evade, how you sprint, how you do a lot of actions. Right now I cannot think of all of them, but they give you a lot of liberties with that. I just wish that there was like this, you know, turn off hints by the NPCs when doing puzzles or certain bosses. They also backseat you a lot on the bosses or enemies in general. I don't know. In general, it's just very annoying because it's like, hey, what goes the shield if you're not gonna use it? It's like, shut up, I'm using it. They on hard mode, and this is like a bunch of enemies around. Don't expect me to just block everything. Anyways, so there's a lot of options, but one kind of popped more than the others from me. In my case, the thing that I like the most in terms of all the options and the settings is the option to give you the input on screen to show the controller. You know, when you pressing the inputs and everything on screen. That's great. That's amazing, especially if you're like a streamer or you know, doing a playthrough of the game on YouTube, something like that. It's really good, honestly. I really like that. Sure, it might be slightly invasive some parts that are more cutscene based, that are kind of slightly interactive, but I think it's great. Honestly, like it shows whoever's watching like what inputs you're doing. I think it's pretty good, and it doesn't require any kind of like a input viewer or connecting like plugging the controller to the PC, because I hate like plugging the controllers when I don't have to, you know, when they have enough charge. So yeah, that's a pretty good addition. I wish that they would do more that, more often, that kind of stuff. Um, it's not the only game that does it, but I think it's the first one on PlayStation that did it, or the first one that I've seen. Um, but yeah, besides that, there's also like the options of like, depending if you have a PS4 or PS5, there's a lot of like different options. I always recommend performance mode, um, depending on the limitations of your monitor or TV. But I have a 1080p 60 FPS monitor, so for me it's performance, and stick with stable, or stable 60 FPS, and then just deal with 1080p. At some other point I might just upgrade my monitor, but yeah, that's those are my options right now. Just 1080p 60 FPS. There's some other issues in the game. I'm sure they're gonna get patched, but I had like 2 soft locks, maybe 3, I don't remember. One was in Muspelheim, with I think it was Kratos, actually, or not. Oh no, it was in Muspelheim. Yeah, it was with Atreus. Yes, it was with Atreus. When I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but like in one of the parts where you control Atreus. Okay, mild spoilers. And the other one was in the jungle in Vanaheim. There's a place that you need to do some like a bunch of side things in order to gain access to, and there's some enemies that you need to defeat, and one of those enemies was completely invulnerable, like to all threats, physical or magical. You couldn't even touch it. Like I had to reload it, reload the file. Like it was just not working at all. I might have forgotten some others, but yeah, I gotten like 2 or 3 softlocks, which I'm sure are gonna get patched. But yeah, that's about it. So wrapping up everything, I give a score. God of War Ragnarok, I gave it a score of 9 out of 10. That could be a 9.5 out of 10. Because, in my opinion, if you add an NG Plus, you add the option to skip cutscenes, you give you the option of the player to like remove all the backseating from the NPCs. And, this is not necessary to get to a 9.5 in my opinion, but it would be great if they did. Kind of speed up the animations like a little bit, at least. Like some animations are just very slow, like not slow down the player so much. I don't know if this is maybe a PS4 kind of a trick for the PS4 so it doesn't struggle so much. Maybe could be, but yeah, if you put all of that together and you're only left with the camera issue and the, in my opinion, weak ending, you would give like a 9.5 of the game. Like probably one of the highest 9.5s, because I haven't given a 10 yet to any game. But yeah, because of those issues, this goes to a 9. I don't remember what I said about God of War 2018, but keep in mind that anything that I said back then, mm, the industry has evolved, and I have experienced more games, and from my experience, it would be also a 9, but that's with NG Plus, that's with cutscene skipping, that's with everything. It's with everything. Because it still has like a lot of things that are like way inferior to Ragnarok in other parts. Ragnarok also has like a way more enemy variety, more bosses. I haven't talked about the bosses. I played on Give Me No Mercy, which is the second highest. I was playing on Give Me God of War a while ago today. I stopped streaming because stream was dead, and I don't know. I just get lose a lot of motivation when that happens. And I was also kind of tired. I'm still tired, but you know, whatever. So yeah, I decided to end the stream there. I don't know if I'll go back to it. Maybe depends. But people are gonna have to ask for it, honestly. Anyways, side bosses, like optional secret bosses, whatever. Overall, they're pretty good. But I have an issue with some of them, and that issue is the the bosses that have like boss with ads, or even worse, a boss and another boss, or a boss with two other bosses at the same time. Yeah, it doesn't feel great. I wouldn't have as much of an issue if the camera worked differently, but in this game, yeah, I've already talked about the camera. So yeah, it's just not great. Also, I didn't talk about the builds. The build system in this game is actually pretty good, and I say that because I don't really work with builds in other games, like in Neo, Neo 2 specifically, because it's been so long since I last played, like for a long while. Neo 1, Neo 2, you can make builds. They're kind of mildly interesting, maybe, but I never bother with them because they don't give you like they don't give me like an incentive to actually do them. Because the loot is all random. It's a lot of grind, and like all it changes is some numbers up and down. It doesn't really give you like a ton of like special effects that are actually special. All of that I said, completely opposite in God of War Ragnarok, and also God of War 1, but more in Ragnarok. The builds actually feel special. You don't really lose anything, like you don't miss out on anything. Like you can get all the builds that you want, and more importantly, they are all not grind based, and also very unique. Like depending on what you want, like you might make like a poison build, or like I've seen it somewhere, or an HP recovery build, or realm shift build, or maybe just go full strength. Maybe go with permafrost, or immolation, or something like that. Like all these kind of like different effects that they don't allow disallow you to play in a different way, or they don't like impact the others in a negative way. Just this impact very positively, like on some other things. And while some of them might be overpowered, for the record, I think they're just actually fun. They are not focused on, like, for example, again comparing against Neo. You have like those shuriken builds, or some like kind of like fist only builds, like where if you're not doing that, you're literally just like it's day and night, and just, like nothing is working. You're just handicapping yourself. That doesn't happen on this game. Like everything else is still viable. It's just that you're probably gonna focus more on your playstyle overall. I tried mainly the things more based around elemental damage, or like applying elements, doing some rune attacks. The the rage. There's three variations of rage in this one. There's rage, wrath, and valor. And I use wrath the most because it's like the most interesting for me. And yeah, I don't know, like there's a lot of things that are kind of fun to actually play around with compared to other games, which are, I don't know, I feel like the more fun way to do is to just kind of ignore the builds, or maybe make a build to not really like get stronger, but just like allow you to maybe like combo more. But you can still do that without them. It's just gonna be a bit harder. That's it. I don't know. It's just I think it's one of the few games that is actually like worthwhile to kind of spend a little bit of time to make a build, because you don't need to grind. You just need to like do the side quest, or kill the things or whatever. Like you just need to do the thing that is gonna give you that, the materials to do that and everything. So for me, that's like great, honestly. Like a very good aspect. It's pretty much all I could ask for an RPG element where there's no need to grind, and changing the things actually makes you adjust not your playstyle to the build, or your the build to your playstyle. That's better for me, and in general, I would say. Um. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, there's like the realms. There's some portals, that you can travel around, just like in God of War 2018. Um, but for whatever reason, like some of them are locked on, for post game. For no real reason. Some of them are locked for a decent reason, but others are like just locked because yes. So I kind of wish that it wasn't like that. Uh, like I'm talking about Vanaheim, for example. There's like um a portal that is locked in one of the most annoying places to get to. So I tried to do a lot of things, a lot of exploring before finishing the game. I wish I kind of did it the other way around. I don't know. It's just kind of annoying how, depending on what you would decide to do first or later, you're gonna have a different kind of like experience. As the only thing that I kind of don't like about the build system, how it changes the approach of things, like depending on how you do things in what order. So if you explore everything early, you're gonna get a good experience, but also like you're gonna kind of maybe get the end game very easy up until like the post game. So yeah, to sum it up, like I said, 9 out of 10 with the potential to be 9.5 if they do patch it, update it with NG plus, cutscene skip, option to remove hints from the NPCs, like all the backseating, and maybe some better, faster traversal, less slowdowns in the gameplay. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time. Bye bye.